You were up.
He's supposed to get somebody before his house and maybe there's something he's doing.
Does he have any meds or anything like that you have at home that you might need to bring for him? No meds, no, is there no treatment for mental health, anything like that?
Give me 1 second, I'm going to find the form, because there's a lot of stuff we have to ask them, as far as just like waiting on that kind of stuff, but one of you guys can go with us.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm going to come around. Alright, so give me 1 minute to go to the form, I'll be right back.
Here. Oh yeah. Let me sure so. The same. Any trouble with him with the law or anything?
Nothing.
Everybody's suspended?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, kind of great.
He's not even.
He's great.
I
Mediocre grades. I mean, they're up and down, you know. But
He got me. I thought I was taking EM geometry last night, and I got on.
no, a grade. We were talking to him about his grade.
I got on last
I'm
night.
sorry, his what?
His grade.
Grades. Okay.
He was failing geometry. And I got onto him. And I was like on those.
Actually, he's going to be safe, okay? He's not hurt at all. I think it's going to get worse for his back. At this point right now, it's all pretty fresh. We don't know. Say how many people are hurt. If anybody's died, we don't know. At this point. Do you have any other children? Any family members we should check on? Any family members that we may be concerned about? Was he angry at any family members that you want to hurt?
We have a family that live here. Well, I mean, she's got an aunt and uncle that live here. I mean, he was just fine. He's going to school. He apologized about last night. We talked about his grades. Told him, like, listen, we just want you to drop. Make sure you don't have, uncompleted assignments. That's all we want to do.
Is that right? On social media, you know,
Not Facebook, Instagram.
yes, something.
No.
Were they loaded bags? They were empty when you swore.
They were empty, the gun was empty, and the bullets were in a completely different place.
How many rounds did you have? I don't know.
100.
No. You guys volunteered when you guys were
He
shooting.
bought 200.
I thought it was just a box of them.
Oh, I don't know.
No, you didn't.
I don't remember.
He didn't.
I don't remember what it was.
It wasn't an exorbitant amount of money, because you would have known.
About $56.
Okay, then he did, he only bought 100 rounds. And so you guys spent 50, so So, yeah, we go to the shooting range all the time.
He goes with you, so he knows how to gun.
Yes. I've been trying to teach him safety. Yeah, I mean,
It was a hobby that they did together.
Sure.
Still not gonna release this thing, are they?
He's a juvenile, they won't do that. They will not. He's a juvenile, they won't release his money.
I know my partner is, but James Robert is. Jennifer, what's your number?
I tried calling him and telling him those emergency cases tomorrow right now. I don't. I'll talk to him.
Jennifer Lynn?
Okay.
You guys are still together, correct? Okay, let's take a couple of things and then we'll you guys want to pop up, I'll leave your phones in here. I'll lock it. Basic information and then. You guys can't see me. Ethan, how tall are you? 5'11". 5'11"?
Yeah, I think so.
How much do you weigh?
180.
Eye color?
Blue, grayish,
Hair color?
brown, brown.
Okay, so we're going to ask you a list of questions about why you did this and get your whole side of the story of your parents. Want to retain attorney, so we'll not be asking you any questions about the incident that you were involved in. Your parents popped in here to give you some basic information. You will have a contact with them eventually. We'll be taking you to either Oakland County Jail or Children's Village to work with, get you lodged after we take all your clothes and everything else you have on you. Any questions for me? You have to ask, it's up to you. If you want to ask them something, go ahead.
I don't think we need to ask any questions right now.
Okay, pop up.
Is there next door?
Next slide.
I did.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. You got
we haven't done you.
Will somebody contact us and let us know where it's going to be?
The corporal. Yeah.
When?
A day or two. Could be today, could be tomorrow. And we'll read it, right? So right now, I really don't care about.
We understand.
Right. So somebody will be in contact with him
Okay.
because of his age. Yeah. Okay, I'll walk you guys up.
So that was Exhibit 301. Judge, just so the court's aware, we have a transcript we're going to mark as proposed 378. I'm going to get a copy of that to council with some redactions, and if there's an agreement, we'll admit that first thing on Monday so the jury has it.
All right, you okay with that?
Yes, Your Honor. I did have a chance to briefly review the exhibit. We did discuss some things about the exhibit, Your Honor. I would object to it being admitted today, but I believe we won't do that until Monday.
No, that's fine. We'll take care of that.
Alright. Yeah, if it's accurate, there's a reason to believe it's accurate. All right.
Yes. Thank you, Judge. I have nothing further this witness.
Else?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm going to start at the beginning of the video. So at about 58 seconds into the video, if you recall, and if you need, I might be able to cue it up as well. You're talking to James and Jennifer Crumbley, and James asks for a bottle of water.
Yes.
And he says he's freaking out.
Yes.
At about 1 minute and 18 seconds in the video, James becomes emotional, if you recall.
Yes.
The first time.
Yes.
He said he became emotional when it was either you or your partner, I can't tell from the video, mentioned that multiple people had been shot.
Correct.
He was willing to speak with you, though, if you recall.
Yes.
In fact, we see on the video that at one point his wife says, maybe we should get a lawyer, and James kind of says, no, I think we can talk to them, right?
He does.
And he continued to talk and was appeared to be open from what you could tell from that point forward during that interview.
Correct.
He said, he told you that he had been in town, correct?
Yes.
That he saw the police cars?
Yes.
Many police cars. That he tried to get to the high school,
Correct.
that he couldn't get there.
Correct.
That he went to the Meyer and saw all the students.
Yes.
And that he was trying to get a hold of his son.
Yes.
And he specifically said he was trying to get a hold of his son to see if his son was okay.
Correct.
He then at some point told his wife about what happened at the school, the shooting that happened at the school.
Yes.
At about 5 minutes and 18 seconds of the interview, James was very clear that they didn't have issues with their son.
Yes.
That he didn't believe that they had been having issues with their son. Is that fair to
That's what he
say?
said, yes, ma'am.
He talked about the fact that his friend had been sent away.
Yes.
And let me clarify. James talked about the fact that his son's friend had been sent away.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Okay. And that their dog died.
Yes.
James's mother passed away that April.
Yes.
At 6 minutes and 24 seconds, you were looking at the math homework on Jennifer Crumbley's phone, and I believe it was you that said, did anyone ask him about this?
I believe the specifically the bullet holes.
Correct.
Yes, that's what you're referring to.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
And I was going to say that. And I was going to say
Oh.
specifically the bullet holes, or what appear to be bullet holes, on the figure that's drawn on the math homework.
Yes, ma'am.
And Jennifer responded no.
Right.
And then she kind of talked about the counselor, and there was a brief discussion about the counselor, and you wouldn't know what happened with the counselor, correct?
I do not.
Okay. At 6 minutes and 35 seconds, there was a statement that their son was a perfect kid.
Yes.
In their eyes, he was a perfect kid.
That's what they said.
At 6 minutes and 45 seconds, James told you that he had a 6-hour handgun.
Yes.
That was, at 6 minutes and 50 seconds, he said that it was hidden in an armoire in a case.
Correct.
At 6 minutes and 58 seconds, and these are approximate timestamps, so I'm not holding you to them,
I
Detective.
really appreciate it.
6 minutes and 58 seconds, that the bullets were hidden in a different spot under jeans, he says.
Yes, ma'am.
it was shortly after that discussion that James indicated that they would like a lawyer present, and it was understood that it was for their son.
That's what my interpretation of what he said was, yes.
And we see that in the video. You in fact advised his son later in the video that that James and his wife want to hire retain an attorney for their son.
Yes,
Okay. And James continued to talk to you.
he did.
Jennifer explained that at the school advised that their son could stay at school or go home, but that they both indicated they wish they would have taken him home that day. If you recall.
I don't recall. I remember her saying it. I don't remember. There was over talking.
And we saw that. There was over talking a couple of times. James told you that he didn't have any trouble with his son, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you or your partner asked that. Have you ever had any trouble with him? Has he ever gotten in trouble? And James said no. He had mediocre grades, right?
Yes.
They were up and down. James or his wife indicated that they'd found out the night before that he had an E in geometry,
Yes.
and there was an argument about it that night.
Yes.
They had gotten on about his grades.
Yes.
At about 11 minutes and 17 seconds, and you weren't in the room, but you did see the video, your former partner, now retired partner, indicated that, reassured James that his son was going to be okay,
Yes.
that he was going to be safe.
Correct.
Obviously, you can see from that conversation that James was concerned about his son,
Yes, he was.
and the safety of his son, and the well-being of his son.
Correct.
Your now retired partner also said that it was going to get worse before it got better.
Yes.
Meaning the situation that they were discussing on November 30th at approximately 2:58 p.m.
Correct.
1:58 p.m. Thank you.
Yep.
At about 12 minutes and 5 seconds of the video, James indicates that his son was just fine that morning,
Yes.
that he had talked to him,
Yes.
that they had talked about the grades issue,
Correct.
that James told his son, "We just want you to try."
Correct.
There was no indication that James had any concern about his son's well-being that morning, that he hadn't exhibited any signs that there was anything wrong. In fact, he had spoken with him and reassured him, correct?
That's what he told us, yes. I wasn't
Right.
there, obviously.
And you weren't there for the conversation, but in the moment during this interview, that was your understanding, that there had
Yes.
been this conversation, that there were no concerns based on that conversation.
Correct.
At about 12 minutes and 48 seconds, either you or your partner asked if James's son was active on social media, and he said no.
Correct. Yes. Like on Facebook, but she jumped in and said Instagram, I think.
Correct. So James's wife was aware that their son was active on social media or Instagram, but James clearly was not aware of that.
I don't remember.
Okay. At approximately 13 minutes and 45 seconds, there was some over talking, but there was a discussion about empty magazines.
Yes.
And specifically, either yourself or your partner asked how many magazines there were in the house.
Yes.
And the magazines were referring to the magazines that go into the firearm,
That's correct.
which is what holds the bullets.
Yes, ma'am.
And James indicated that there were 3 magazines,
Yes.
that they were all empty,
Yes.
that they were stored empty,
Yes.
that the gun was stored empty,
Correct.
that the ammunition was stored separately.
Yes.
And then there was additional conversation between James and his wife about ammunition.
Yes.
There was a question about how much ammunition was in the house.
That's correct.
And at about 13 minutes and 54 seconds, James indicates to his wife, "You bought the ammunition when you guys went to the shooting range."
Yes.
And you understood that to mean that James's wife and their son bought ammunition when they went to the shooting range at some date prior to November 30th.
Well, hold on a second, Judge. The video and the statements of James Crumbley and Jennifer Crumbley speak for themselves. His impression of what their statements are, that's an improper question. That's why we'll have a transcript of it.
Yeah, that would cause him to speculate his impression of what they said. Is that true?
What they meant.
What he understood, the statement, you bought them when you went to the gun range, what that meant. I mean, I think it's pretty clear, but I can move on.
It's the video. It's a video, Judge.
There was, Jennifer Crumbley also indicated that going to the gun range was a hobby that James and his son did together.
Yes.
At about 17 minutes and 32 seconds, James and his wife, yourself, and your partner leave that first interview room, and this is, and walk into the second interview room where their son is handcuffed to the wall.
Yes.
You advised their son that James and his wife wanted to retain him an attorney. At 19 minutes, it was a fairly short interaction from what we can see on the video, correct?
Extremely.
And at 19 minutes and 2 seconds, as James and his wife are leaving, James repeatedly tells his son that he loves him.
Yes, he does.
And he says it over and over. I think I counted 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
At 19 minutes and 18 seconds of the video, we switch back to the first interview room where James and Jennifer, yourself and your partner, are walking into that room. And James enters the room, and you can see on the video, he's obviously crying.
Correct.
Very loudly.
Yes.
It could be described as sobbing.
One could characterize it as that. Yes, ma'am.
He's clearly incredibly emotional.
Yes.
Shortly after that, James asks about his son's whereabouts and if he will be made aware of where his son is going to be.
Yes.
Again, it appeared that he was concerned about his son and if his son was going to be okay.
Again, that's speculation, Judge.
Well, you know, his statements speak for themselves. I don't think he needs to be interpreting them. That is speculating.
You've done many police interviews
I have.
in your career. You've been a law enforcement officer for 29 years.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been a detective for much of that 29 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree that James learning that his son was the shooter appeared to be very unexpected to him?
Objection to that question, obviously, Judge. That is blanket speculation.
Yeah, then he's trying to speculate about how your client was feeling, right?
I mean,
That is a clearly improper question.
Yeah, that's existing.
Thank you, Judge.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Real quick, Sergeant, let's talk about what James Crumbley didn't tell you. He never told you that he bought the murder weapon 4 days ago, did he?
He did not.
He never said he bought the murder weapon 4 days ago as a gift for his son.
He did not.
He never told you the gun was ever locked up, did he?
He did not.
He never told you the counselor told James and Jennifer Crumbley to take their son home that day, did he?
No, he did not.
Okay, in fact, he referred to it as doodling on the paper, right?
Correct.
He never actually mentioned that he actually had another son, too.
No.
In that portion of the video where he said, I love you, I love you, I love you, what was his son doing at that time?
Trying to talk to his mom.
Okay, and his son was actually saying, I did it at that point.
He did.
So James was yelling, I love you, I love you, I love you, louder, louder, and louder, over his son.
Your Honor, I don't know what the implication is that the prosecution is trying to make, but I don't think that's even a proper question.
Counsel clearly tried to paint a picture that he was saying, I love you to his son, and the video depicts something else, so I would like some context.
Okay,
Your Honor,
well,
I think-
whether or not he was trying to talk over his son is up to the jury
That's fine.
to determine. He's able to say, was he saying it at the same contemporaneous with his son saying, I did it, and in his opinion, did it get louder, but why he was saying it is up to the jury.
That's fair, Judge, thank you. Did he say it at the same time his son was confessing to a crime?
He was.
Okay, and did his voice elevate, get louder?
It did.
Okay. Now, they didn't retain him an attorney, though, did they?
Not that I have no knowledge of. No, they
Okay.
did not.
And James Crumbley actually did say to stop questioning, too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Anything?
No, Your Honor.
You can step down in your excuse.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Who's the next witness?
Miss Gibson Marshall, she's in the hallway.
Good afternoon. Could you raise your hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Right, you may be seated. And then could you tell us your first and last name and spell your first and last name for the record?
Christy Gibson Marshall, KRISTY-GIBSON-MARSHALL.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Christy.
Hello.
It's okay if I call you Christy, right?
Of course, yes.
All right. Christy, can you tell the jury what your job is?
I'm an assistant principal at Oxford High School.
Okay. And how long have you been in administration?
Just in administration.
Yes.
Oh my heavens. 20 years?
And did you do something else before
Yeah.
that?
I was a teacher prior to that.
And where were you teaching?
Oxford High School and Oxford Elementary, Oxford Intermediate School.
Have you ever taught anywhere except in the Oxford School District?
No.
All right. And so a grand total of how many years so far?
29 years.
All right. Christy, in all of those 29 years, had you ever experienced an active shooter situation
No.
until November 30th?
Correct.
You had not?
No, I have not.
Okay. What kind of training had you received in an active shooting situation before November 30th?
We have our ALICE training, which is alert, lockdown, inform, communicate, evacuate.
Okay, and about how many years have you received that training?
I started getting it in the elementary.
I'm gonna object to the relevance of how long they've been receiving the training.
I'm laying foundations because I'm going to ask her later what she did, and I'm just laying a foundation for her.
Yeah, I'll allow it, yeah.
Thank you. How many years had you been trained in that?
I started that training in the elementary school, so probably close to 10 years.
Okay, and when you receive that training, does everybody receive it, just administrators, or does it include students, teachers?
It includes students and teachers,
Okay.
yes.
Do you know the student that was the shooter on November 30th?
I do.
Okay, we refer to him as the shooter. How long had you known, that was the James Crumbley's son,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes.
Before November 30th,